There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Outdoor Furniture Factory celebrating its 4th birthday with up to 40% off store-wide. Grab a huge pre-Christmas deal on umbrellas, egg chairs, outdoor dining and more. Get set for the festive season with up to 40% off store-wide at Outdoor Furniture Factory, Warners Bay and Rutherford.
Why did you choose Kmart Tyre and Auto Service for new tyres?
The main reason? Their free tyre care plan.
I like how it gives me free tyre rotation and balance.
If I'm not happy with my tyres, I can swap them in the first 30 days.
Find out about our tyre care plan today.
Decentralised Australia, over 85% of the nation's wealth is generated outside the capital cities. The United Australia Party wants zonal taxation. If you live outside a capital city, you should pay a lower rate of tax. And then that incentive boosts our exports, builds our communities. Let's unite Australia. Get the job done. Give Australia a fair go. Make Australia great. Vote United Australia Party.
Authorised by James McDonald for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
It's Priceline's biggest ever cosmetics sale. For 3 days only, save half price on Maybelline, Revlon, L'Oreal, Rimmel, Move by Nature, NYX Professional Makeup and more. Plus get 30% off Napoleon Curtis Cosmetics. Get in quick, half price cosmetics from Wednesday at Priceline Pharmacy.
Australia's media landscape is just one step away from a dramatic overhaul after Fairfax shareholders today gave the green light for the company to merge with Nine.
The vote was expected to be a formality, but there was a last-minute challenge from a former Fairfax executive.
As Fairfax shareholders, they were more than just invited guests, called on to give their blessing to an historic media marriage.
I declare the resolution carried.
It was overwhelming, more than 80% backing the merger with Nine to become a $4 billion multimedia powerhouse. And the man set to run it was delighted.
It's exciting getting another step in what we're trying to do, which is create a media company of the future, not one of the past.
But there was breaking news last night which threatened to derail the deal. Former Domain CEO Anthony Catalano sent a letter to the board demanding the vote be delayed so he could buy almost 20% of Fairfax.
We are surprised by the last-minute Anthony Catalano intervention. It's never dull in media, is it?
The 11th hour bid was rejected outright, but Mr. Catalano is now threatening to block the merger in the courts.
Anthony Catalano says he's going to fight this in court.
In the meantime, a court is expected to tick the final box next week. On November 28, Fairfax shares will be suspended and the curtain will fall on a 177-year-old brand. On December 10, the new Nine will make its debut on the share market.
Fairfax doesn't have a big future standing by itself. With Nine, it's going to have a better future.
Damien Ryan, NBN News.
And on the share market, Nine Entertainment closed 3 cents higher, while Fairfax Media added 1 cent. Domain was among the day's biggest movers, up almost 5%. Shares in Myer fell as investors digested the weak sales figures it was forced to disclose last Friday. To commodities, and the price of gold has fallen slightly while crude oil is up, and the Aussie dollar is buying a shade over 73 US cents.
The Prime Minister is hailing the APEC summit a success despite an ugly rift between the US and China, which sank the customary joint statement. But Scott Morrison has indicated that many of the region's leaders were frustrated with the behaviour of the major powers.
The Prime Minister descended to a salute from the HMAS Adelaide and say thanks to some of the 1,000-strong crew involved in Australia's maritime security at the APEC summit.
They do a great job serving us, so that's my turn today.
But the economic summit saw the heat turned up by China and the US, with their brawl over trade intensifying, leaving APEC leaders unable to strike agreement on a joint statement for the first time since 1993.
Whether a communique is reached or not, I don't think is the point.
The Prime Minister disputes claims the summit was a failure.
We've got to stop kidding ourselves that everyone's going to agree all the time.
I don't think that we can live in a world of denial and pretend that APEC was a success.
Nine News understands at the final Leaders Summit it was Prime Minister Morrison pushing back against China and the US, forming a coalition with other APEC leaders, tired and frustrated by the bickering between both superpowers.
We should call it out. It has been made very clear to both the United States and China that we want to see these issues resolved.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison flies home from APEC, walking a fine line between the key defence ally of the United States and the major trading partner in China. But his diplomatic dance is not done yet. In under a fortnight, he'll travel to the G20, where China's President Xi Jinping will be face-to-face with Donald Trump. This battle could get out of hand. Jonathan Kersley, NBN News.
No more apologies. It's time to fix things. That was the blunt warning to banking bosses today as the last 2 weeks of the Royal Commission hearings began. Commonwealth Chief Executive Matt Comyn, the first to be grilled.
Even before CBA boss Matt Comyn hit the witness box, these words would have been ringing in his ears.
The purpose of this round of hearings is not to hear further apologies or expressions of regret.
Between them, the big four banks control 3/4 of the assets held by deposit-taking institutions in Australia. With seemingly endless examples of appalling misconduct, these hearings will now focus on what went wrong and how the banks intend to fix it.
There were a number of shareholders who came up to me last week and said, it's really important that I really care about my dividend, but I only care about that dividend if it's earned in an ethical way.
Mr. Comyn admitted his bank had lost sight of its customers' interests.
Now, how did that happen?
I don't have an adequate explanation for that.
Mr. Comyn also didn't have an explanation as to why the bank ignored a report from corporate regulator ASIC over the sale of consumer credit insurance.
Did CBA implement each of those 10 recommendations, including the scripting recommendation?
No, we did not.
Why not, Mr. Comyn?
We did not, Miss Orr. We should have.
A key focus of today's evidence, bonuses, or as the bank prefers to call them, short-term variable remuneration. Mr. Comyn admitted that there was a risk of employees engaging in misconduct in order to get an incentive payment. Scrapping them for frontline staff was something he'd consider. Taking them away from senior managers, more complicated. And all of that left CBA whistleblower Jeff Morris underwhelmed.
You have to wonder how sincere the efforts can be to change things.
I'm sorry, I'm unable to talk about it.
Eddie Meyer, NBN News.
2 men remain in custody after $1 million was discovered in the boot of a car after it was stopped on the Hume Highway. Detectives had been monitoring a suspected criminal network believed to be running cash from Melbourne to Sydney. The 47-year-old driver allegedly tested positive to methamphetamine. His 37-year-old passenger was charged with dealing in the proceeds of crime and drug possession.
Now to Gavin Morris for a quick look at the weather, and Gav, inland rain is set to return.
Yes, it should be a pretty good week for most areas on the western side of the Great Dividing Range. A lot of moisture building up over central eastern Australia, reflected in some of the cloud cover that exists there. Very warm though, northerly winds tomorrow. We'll see the skies fire up across the Moree Plains. The first wave of those showers and storms moving in, and it should increase overnight, and most of it pushing through during Wednesday. All of your local details headed your way a little later.
Thanks, Gav. Ahead in the news, a special report on the babies and toddlers living in our prison system.
And the hotel where having a balcony room wasn't a good idea. Imagine this amazing play set in your backyard. A basketball hoop, swings, the trampoline and more. Tune in to win tomorrow.
30 days, 30 deals, only on the My Macca's app. Like 6 chicken McNuggets or a Big Mac for only $2 each. Download it now and check today's exclusive deal.
Tallowood Lifestyle Resort means quality resort living and a great investment in your future life. Move up to a smarter lifestyle. Visit resortliving.com.au.
Are you thinking al fresco and looking for something simple? Call HV Aluminium.
Are you looking for something stylish? Call HV Aluminium.
Or are looking for ideas to design something stunning?
If you're thinking al fresco, call or visit HV Aluminium New Lantern, 1800 801 572.
Okay.
This time of year, you've got better things to think about than business cash flow. Keep your business moving with the Prosper Business Loan. No repayments until 6th of January 2019. Apply today.
When you're smiling. At Thrifty, we love to keep you smiling. So if you're an NRMA member, you get 15% off our day rates and a free upgrade. Conditions apply. Thrifty, smiles all the way.
Lorraine, where's this from? Hello, Amy. There's been a few thefts in the area, so we'd like to take out insurance for renters.
Amy's fire and theft contents insurance covers up to $25,000.
Shame, Lorraine.
That's not very insurance-y.
Spoil the ones you love this Christmas with a gift from Prouds. With a great range of gift ideas for all, like these gold earrings now half price, or these diamond earrings now $149. Celebrate and save this Christmas with Prouds the Jewelers.
When I first met Nugget, he was stuck in a hole. But I've been pushing him hard.
Now, Nugget is healthy and regular. Take Metamucil daily, a natural way to stay regular and support a healthy gut.
Here's how to save more on your home line. Step 1. See how much you can save with this comparison tool. 2. Contact Greater Bank. 3. Meet. We can come to you. Step 4. Save and enjoy. Here's how. Visit Greater Bank.
BetEasy and Sky Racing Vision make it easy to raise your game. No matter where you are, you can bet.
And watch more thoroughbred greyhound and harness races live.
All without leaving the app. Whatever the competition, it's easy to raise your game with BetEasy.
New Nivea Cellular Hyaluron Filler. Its effective formula visibly plumps, fills, and firms skin using powerful hyaluronic acid for instant and long-lasting results. Discover new Cellular Hyaluron Filler from Nivea.
Domestic abuse doesn't have to be physical or emotional. It can also be financial. Tonight, we can reveal the federal government's major new plan to boost women's economic security with almost $15 million for victims of domestic violence.